welcome to the webinar, which is called Generation Differences at the Workplace, Conflict or Opportunity. And let me remind you that this is actually the number 19 webinar in the series of webinars we are conducting for HR and not only HR community under the umbrella name Rethink HR. So first of all, let me introduce the company which organized this for you. This webinar was organized by the company DEVELOR. This is consulting and training company originating from Hungary. We are market leaders in training and consulting services in Central and Eastern Europe. And actually more than that, as you can see on the map, we have 18 offices in different countries. Those countries are marked with a dark green color, and light green color represents countries where we don't have our offices just yet, but we do run our project there. So we have been around the market for more than 30 years, and we achieved quite a few things in that time. And to prove that, please have a look at this slide. This is just a small portion of the companies we work with. These are companies with which we work in different countries and for more than 3 years with each of them. So we are truly international company, and we have quite a lot of experience which we are gladly sharing with you. And my name is Andrei Zhubin. I will be the host today of this webinar. I currently work as a senior business trainer and consultant for DEVELOR Ukraine and Central Asia. Before joining DEVELOR 7 years ago, I spent over 20 years in FMCG business, predominantly in tobacco sector. In my corporate life, I was doing all kinds of sales and marketing jobs. Talking about my training and development experience, I started it over 15 years ago, back in 2007, and so far I have delivered trainings and workshops in 26 different countries. There will be other people joining me today during this webinar. I will introduce them in a proper time. And now, a couple of words about the norms that we have to stick to in order to be effective during this webinar. So, first of all, the timing. We aim to conclude our webinar within 1 hour, but we may be a little bit longer than that because we'll have some panel discussion here. We'll be hearing some questions and answering them. So it will be slightly more than 1 hour, but definitely not more than 90 minutes. Please switch off your phones and make sure that we don't hear any noises so that nothing interrupts our webinar. I would be very grateful if you keep your cameras on, actually, so that we can see each other when we talk to each other. We'll use the rule of 1 microphone. So only person who actually speaks at this moment has his or her microphone on. Other people, please switch off your microphone so that nothing interrupts the discussion. Yes, please mute yourself. Also, you can use chat, you can answer questions or provide your comments in the chat. We will review those comments and questions from time to time, obviously. Also, you can use the button of reactions. If you like something, please indicate that. It will be very useful for us. And just in case, because technical issues may arise, if you get disconnected or if our webinar is interrupted by some technical issues, please do not worry. Come back again using absolutely the same link you used to come here first of all. So these are very simple rules, and let's move on. Before we actually start exploring our topic, I would like to introduce our pages in different social media. If you are not connected to us just yet, please do so, because in this media, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, we provide a lot of interesting information about our topics, about our programs, about anything in terms of training and development that is worth attention. So if you are not subscribed, please do so now using these QR codes. And let us switch to our topic. So the topic of today is generations. what we are talking about here. Basically, we are talking about the thing that is a reality. And reality is that currently at the workplace, especially in the big organizations, you can see representatives of four different generations now. And I'm sure you have heard this many, many times, but just to remind you what those generations are and how they are different from each other. So the first generation we are looking at is so-called baby boomers generations. Those are people who were born between 1946 and 64. Those people who are focusing on teamwork, they're very loyal to their companies. It's okay for them to work for the same employer for very long periods, and they value experience first of all. You can see some pictures of famous representatives of baby boomers generation. Yeah, starting with Meryl Streep and Oprah Winfrey, and you can see also Barack Obama here and famous IT guys. Yes, Steve Jobs and of course the famous Bill Gates. Then the next generation, people who were born between 1956 and 1980. Those are people who are slightly different. They really value work-life balance and independence, and they value very much adaptability, ability to change, because they actually have come through lots of changes in their lives as well. And here you can see very well-known actors, yes, starting from Keanu Reeves and Jennifer Aniston, then Leo DiCaprio, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Joaquin Phoenix. The next generation is Gen Y, people who were born between 1981 and 1996. They are also called millennials. And we also know them quite well. Of course, there is Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Emma Watson, Rihanna, and Rami Malek. And then comes the youngest generation, which we call Gen Z. Also, we call them Zoomers sometimes. People who were born between 1997 and 2012. And here, to be honest, I have some issue here because I belong to Gen X. And when I was creating this presentation, I went to ChatGPT and asked, okay, please provide me 20 names of prominent representatives of Gen Z. And there was a list of 20 people. Number one came Billie Eilish. You can see her picture here. And I said to myself, well, I do know this name. I know she's a singer. Well, I'm not very much into her music, but at least I know who she is. And then there were 19 names I had no idea about. And that is, of course, it's my personal issue, my personal problem. But the thing is that, yeah, there are lots of prominent people in Gen Z who are shaping the future, but we do not know them quite well, or at least some of us, we don't know them quite well. And that's one of the actual issues we are facing with all these generations being present. So we'll dig deeper into that a bit later. But let me tell you a few words about how those different generations are different from each other. There are lots of different factors where they differ. However, I would like to highlight the main ones. So all those generations, they look at their work and career values absolutely differently. They differ also in their communication styles, in their motivational drivers, in the way they prefer to learn things, how the learning process should be organized. They use absolutely different vocabulary. So terminology that Gen Y are using, I don't understand half of it, or sometimes I don't understand it. And they are absolutely different in terms of the ways they are consuming technology and media. Everything is different. And we will have today some experts talking about that. So you will get a bit more details on that. So considering all these things, we can realize that actually this impacts our lives and the way we manage organizations and the way we communicate with each other in organizations quite significantly. For example, if you are talking leadership in organizations, yeah, the expectations towards leadership and management style are absolutely different. Baby boomers, they prefer the so-called traditional management, when everything is clear, there is very clear line of command, let's say, clear subordination, and so on. Gen X are already somewhat different because they prefer some kind of informal style. They would like to be involved into the decision making, and in general, they prefer participative atmosphere. Then Gen Y, they would like their leaders to be approachable and open to the feedback. And Gen Z, they want leaders to be authentic, transparent, supportive, and inclusive. Inclusivity is a big thing for them. If you look at the motivational drivers, what drives them at the workplace, also differences are quite significant. Baby boomers, they are focusing on career achievement, advancement, and financial reward. So these are the things that driving their performance and their motivation in general. Gen X, like myself, we value work-life balance, and this is what motivates us. And also, we would like to have certain degree of autonomy. We would like to see that we are getting better in what we are doing. Our skills are being developed, and we are becoming more and more professional in what we are doing. Gen Y value meaningful work. So they really need to see that there is a good, positive purpose in what they are doing. They also need feedback and opportunities for growth and flexibility in order to stay motivated. And Gen Z, they also have to have a very clear positive purpose. They want to see that they're actually making impact, and that organizations they're working for are making impact on the society. They value instant feedback, flexibility, and autonomy. So there are quite significant differences, and you have to address it, because all these differences, they are creating challenges for any organization. And key challenges, and this list is not conclusive, key challenges are as follows. So first of all, how can we maintain effective communication in our organization with all those people, especially when the organization is large, international, operating across many countries? How can we create a single ethical space, and how can we can create values that are shared by everyone, by people who are 55 years old, let's say, and people who are 28 years? How can we keep up with all these technological advancements that are coming to us every day, and how can we actually implement change effectively, as we know that people welcome technologies in a very different ways between the generations? How can we constitute effective organizational leadership structure? As we have just seen on the previous slide, that expectations towards leadership are very different. And how can we establish effective career paths for those people, and training processes? Because obviously organizations want to unify everything, but you cannot unify when you have those different generations. And finally, how can we manage team dynamics and resolve conflicts effectively when we have all those generations working side by side? So during our webinar, we'll be seeking answers to those questions, and let's dig deeper for that. And I'm very glad to pass a word to a colleague of mine, Tadej Pitik, who is Managing Director of DEVELOR Slovenia. Tadej, the floor is yours.
Thank you ever so much, Andrei. Thank you. And let me say hi also from my side. I am Tadej Pitek, as mentioned. I am Managing Director of DEVELOR in Slovenia. Most of my life I've been in training and coaching and development of people. The scope I focus on is leadership and managerial and sales skills. What I especially like is leadership courses. also sales from a human point of view, and of course communication, which is a link of the two and most of the work that we do. We do it in forms of training and facilitation, but that's enough from me. The next thing I would really like you all to do is basically to take your either smartphone or open another window. From a smartphone, you can scan the QR code. And if you go in another window from computer, you go on the menti.com and put the code 31365586 into it. So please do it while I will stop share and share the other stuff. So yes, I can see some of the answers are already coming. Am I not sharing yet this one? Yes. Now it should be, yes. Okay. So the question is, please guess what is the rough year of the statement written. Young people, they think they know everything and are always quite sure about it. Was it like 300 years before Christ, like the zeros of Christ times? Was it 1950s, 90s, 2000, 2020s? And we have a lot of people voting for the really long, so really old time, some for the recent. So majority, more than 30 people guess it was before Christ, so 300 years before. And I can actually show you. The right answer is basically Aristotle, who lived around 350 years before Christ, was written in some statement. Although I know that there were some similar statements found in Egyptian pyramids, which makes it really, really old. So what can we learn from the first answer that you gave me? Is basically that nothing is very much new about it. Every generation thinks that the coming generation is hardly able to actually take over the world as it is now. But if we look in a history, everything was well with a younger generation taking over the world and the jobs. And let's go to the next question. And the statement is that Generation Z take frequent vacation and want to work as little as possible. So do you think this is true statement or this is not so true statement? For now, more true in favor, although false is also quite present. Many of you also think this is like not exactly true. Okay, so why do you think this is true? What makes you think so? They kind of they seem to be quite active. So are they lazy? Do they really want to be off all the time? Okay, let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is false. It is not true that Generation Z people want to take frequent vacation and want to be free all the time. The fact is that the researches done by LinkedIn, it showed that their workers use far less time off than their older colleagues, and 35% of Gen Z people feel they are they actually feel bad. They feel kind of guilt if they are not connected and ready to work whenever it's actually asked from them. So basically, this was a false statement. Next question. Which of the statement is completely true? So we have like 4 statements, read them through, and vote for the one that you believe is completely true. So baby boomers, resistant to change and technology. Gen X, independent, collaborative, effective leaders. Millennials, entitled and obsessed with instant gratification. Gen Z, tech, obsessed and lacking social skills. So we have a lot of votes for Gen Z. The second is baby boomers. The third so far, Gen X. We have some likes. And baby boomers and Gen X are picking up. Also, Gen Z is picking up. Okay. So let's wait for one more minute. And what do you think one of the statements differs from 3 others? That difference is basically the reason to the correct answer. So basically, correct answer, the only one that had not negative impulse is Gen X, independent, collaborative, and effective leaders. Basically, looking at each of those, going back into the full scale, baby boomers, they're actually completely able to adapt well and thus bring value to a company. Generation X, that was actually already the correct statement, are also collaborative, although they want to have autonomy, work-life balance, and are effective in leadership roles. Millennials, so Generation Y, sometimes also called, they prioritize purpose. So they want to know why they're working here, how they are contributing to the company, and they are highly motivated when given clear path. So if they know what to do, they can be highly motivated. And Gen Z brings, of course, value with their technical skills. Electronic is really the home. And of course, they value diversity and in workplace. And the last question of today in Zoom. Generation Z will take sooner or later bigger part than baby boomers as a workplace. So what year do you think this will happen? I put here United States because I have data for United States. It can be slightly different for our region, but again, let's vote. And as I see, most of you believe it's going to be 2029. Also, 2033 is quite in favor. 27, 13, and 4 so far for 2024. Baby boomers are quite a big portion of the workforce, but Generation Z are coming also in place. And since we have like bigger portion for 2029 with 39 votes so far, and 23 in 2033, and only 7 2024. Let me show the correct answer. It's actually 2024. They calculated, so Glassdoor did research and also calculation, educated guess, where they calculated by the end of 2024, the portion of Generation Z at work will be larger than baby boomers. And as I said, it's the data for United States. Thank you very much for your votes. Going back is basically the question what we believed. I lost you.
Okay, I think we've lost Tadej. He
No
will be back in
problem.
a moment. I hope so.
He will be back in a moment. So far, how was this Mentimeter questionnaire for you? Were there many surprises? So what did surprise you the most of all? Interesting, eye-opener, many surprises. Could you please be a bit more specific?
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, Tadej is back. Many
Okay.
surprises. Because I can tell you that for me personally, that the last question was a big surprise. That, yeah, it's already currently Gen Z are bigger than baby boomers in the years. That's quite a lot. And again, we don't know much about them, unfortunately. There is still a big job to do in that direction. So Tadej, if you are ready, then please
Yes.
continue with your presentation.
With pleasure, let me just start sharing the presentation. So basically, being back, we have seen that what we believe with the generations, and quite frankly, we also saw that there are some biases that we actually use when being when our perception is showing us what do we think about this. So there, I actually had some video, which there is a link and we will send it to you later. The video is actually advertisement for Australian lamb, for a meat. And the video is talking about how generation gap can be really greater if we only defend our own generation and don't listen to the others. You can see it later, but as I said, I will. You can just type in if you want later Australian lamb generation gap, and you will find it very easily. But let's see first what have people say if we ask different generations about other generations. For instance, when they ask the baby boomers about how they perceive Generation Z colleagues at work, they answer that they're not prepared to the workplace. They have the excuse, but not applied to the workplace. And I have a recent event when I was talking to a general manager of a company, my age and my generation, and I'm really just beginning of X generation. So basically I can sometimes associate with baby boomers just as well. And he said, I can't believe the young people don't know the basic knowledge, the basic skills. That was like a manufacturing company, you know, like mechanical engineering. They could not pass all the exams. I know, I've been there. They shouldn't be let to come to work. But on the other hand, the problem is that for baby boomers, if somebody's doing something on a phone, it cannot be work. Of course, Gen Z do not agree with that. So another let's say bias is when they were asking Gen Z about colleagues from Generation X. And they said, Generation Z answered that they struggle with technology and are reluctant to use it. So they don't want to try even with the new technology. They live to work. They only live to work. So basically, they want to work long hours, stay in the office, and so on. And they find them resistant to change and exclusive. So basically, inclusivity, it's not the strong part of Generation X if we ask Generation Z. On the other hand, as we said in the Mentimeter first question, already before Christ, the situation was known as far as generation gap concerned. And we have here an example of
Tadej, you muted yourself. Please switch on your microphone.
Sorry, and thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We have a sample of Fermin Diaz from National University of Singapore, who has been watching and doing research on this for many years. And he said that it was exact same amount of hype when my millennials were joining the workforce. So again, this is completely normal situation. It just takes some of our energy, just takes some of our consciousness, and everything will be all right. So why to deal with this? Why should we even care about these generations? The answer is actually because communication on changes and differences is linked to organizations' productivity, teamwork at work, retention. We know how difficult it is to keep people at work, and of course, in engagement. And here we get a hint, we get a link to let's say, leadership, taking into consideration that around 70% of somebody's engagement depends on first superior leader. No matter the generations, the way how first superior leader treats me is actually highly influencing my engagement, my retention, teamwork, productivity. And first, let's say, hint that everybody is actually saying is, don't wait to be respected, give respect first. So be inclusive to other generations, be inclusive to other people. And as a leader, try to create a culture of respect and inclusion. Of course, this is easier said than done, but however we take it, this also always comes back. Reasons why different generations play different communication style is actually derives from what Andre was saying before, is how they were living when they were, or when we were growing up, when we were actually in our early years of, let's say, schools, university, and early years of at the job. So baby boomers, they lost financial security with financial and social setbacks in the past. A lot of things went wrong, so baby boomers stayed or developed into not so sure about how it's going to be and who to trust. So basically, values are ambition, monetary security, like will I have enough money when I retire, and self-sufficiency. I can do it myself. And even worse, if I do it myself, it's going to be best work done. So their preferred communication is face-to-face and phone call. If you want to talk to baby boomer, you say, let's sit down and have a chat. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is seeing the word this way. So if we see the communication style and values, Generation X is also called latchkey generation, meaning sometimes I still remember children had like key around their neck. So basically it meant when they get home, they need to have their own key to actually get to home, which means the home was empty. Nobody was there. So they were brought up amongst record divorce rate with friends on the street, and public scandals were pretty often stuff at that time. So because of that, they value strong work-life balance. They want to work hard, but have also time off, without phone, without internet, and so on. They want to keep independence, and they're okay to suffer if that means moving up in career. For instance, my wife, at her beginning of her career, she's a doctor. She worked many years without getting paid. It was the system, and she took it for granted, and basically that's like quite typical for this generation. That's why I prefer communication is informal, but also flexible. Can be by mail, can be by phone, SMS, meaning text, and similar things. If we go to millennials, Y generation, they were born with a world where internet already existed. So they are global centric, meaning the world really is like on your hand. You can talk to somebody in Australia, no problem. Just find a nice time slot where you're all up. And typical for them is also that parents wanted them to have better life than parents did. So basically, let me not sound too hard, but it was some spoiling into the growth up of this generation. What they value is diversity, equity, inclusion. They want to have purpose, which is more than just money. Don't take it wrong, they still want money, and doesn't need, and it's not pointless how much of that money comes on the table. And the typical is that they much prefer life experience over personal possession. They prefer written communication, email, text, also direct message. And the last generation, Z, was born in bed with smartphone. What I mean, a lot of moms giving birth had phones, smartphone close to their head or their hands. So basically there was immediate interaction or contact with the technology. Diverse social media, financial crisis of 2008, COVID-19, climate change, and diversity awareness. It's really high with them. Global village, the word small, and they're really digital natives. That means they trust the technology. And the values that derive from this is diversity and inclusion. They're open to receive feedback as long as they can give feedback immediately to the other side as well. And challenge. Everything is really like quite obvious at work. If they hear how something was done 20 years, the first question is why? So the preferred form of communication is text. So SMS, text written, messaging in all other apps, WhatsApp, Messenger, and so on and so on. And very interesting, no phone calls. They don't prefer phone calls because immediate reaction is needed. They get asked on a phone, they should answer immediately. They don't like it. They want to have text so they can think and while they write. And the interesting thing is that almost 40% of them feel threatened if they're called by phone to give some concrete answer. They much prefer to have their own time to actually think it over. And now I will stop sharing and ask Andre to ask our guests.
Yes, thank you very much, Tadej. And before we move to the next section, I would like to remind you that you can use in the view options, you can choose side-by-side mode, and this will make your life much easier because you will see both presentation and the speaker properly. So please do that if you haven't done it yet. And I would like to say that, yeah, of course, we in DEVELOR, we do have quite a lot of experience, to be honest. Yeah. However, we would like to hear from somebody who is actually working every day with this kind of things. So I would like you to welcome our guest. And this is Mr. Robert Lepener, Managing Director of company called Neuroslušní aparaty. So please welcome him on the stage. I will discontinue sharing the screen. Robert, before we start actually digging deeper into the topic, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Hello, everybody. Nice greetings from Slovenia, from Maribor, actually. We are Slovenian firm. Our firm is based in Ljubljana, but I have first office, not second office. Second office is Ljubljana, first office in Maribor. I am in Neurot last 16 years, and I'm in the business, in the niche, in the branch. I said a lot of niche of hearing aid last 30 years plus. I am the best generation. Okay, that's a joke. I'm X generation. And like I said, I am very long in this business, this niche, and through ownership from Neurot, which came in 2008 in Slovenia, I gained a lot of new experience and a lot of possibilities. And I'm like, it's introduced managing director last 13 years in Neuroslušní aparaty. We are successful. I hope I'm through that successful. And that's that. We are firm from Central Europe, but we have aspiration to do a lot more. And we are very sales and marketing orientated firm. When I prepared for this today meeting, I get the question which will I now answers. This question can go, in my case, on my organization on level which I am like a managing director doing in Slovenia with my 50 people in Slovenia, or can I look on this question or these challenges which are through the topics which is presented today in firm which I am working, and this firm is 1,300 people and more. There are two possibilities.
Yes, thank you, Robert. So you said 50 people working in Slovenia.
That's it, yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. And altogether there are more than 2,000 people. And
1,300.
Yes. And yet, even with 50 people, you have a mix of generation. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
my first question to you would be, so with this mix of generation that you have in your company, have you ever had this so-called generation gap moment at work? So tell us about such situations, and maybe you have had some funny laughing situations, or maybe you took a lesson out of this kind of situation. So please.
Yes, I'll speak a lot of German also. In this moment, I have, let's say, two things, and they are connected with this point of view when I'm looking through the whole organization and when I'm looking through organization in Slovenia. I'm Generation X. I'm year 1969. I'm born, and when I see from today that will be Generation Z taking over in USA in this year. I remember my last experience in Belgrade this year in August, when we have like a roadshow from our management team from C-level company, the top. And when I sit on my desk, I was the oldest. I was the oldest on the desk. And that happened pretty surprisingly for me, and pretty fast, because I was like, what is happening? That's the one thing we are then walking 2 days together from colleagues from Austria, Serbia. We are very oriented in this moment on Southeast Europe. We are working with Croatia, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and let's go for other countries also. But when we are speaking about, let's say, the situation which happened, let's say, in Corona time, when everybody must switch on, let's say, this way that we go online, we have a lot of situations which were very funny, because not only Generation X and baby boomers, which were by us till last year, we changed in last year, 5 people went to the pension in Slovenia. We have a lot of situations. You see it, how everybody struggled with technology. Not only baby boomers and Generation X, everybody, but everybody adapted. And let's say it, when I communicate with, let's say, Generation Z in firm, it's not a lot. We have also very lot of formal situations, but when you are speaking about informal and about text messages, Z generation is doing that, but like today said, they're sending one thought, one idea in 4 or 5 SMS. I write one SMS. And when you react too fast on first or the second SMS, which are coming very fast after another, you can react fast, and that can be problem, but that can be also very funny.
Also very funny. Well, thank you very much. So I know what you're talking about, but because I'm experiencing all the same things. So thinking about how these people from different generation interact with each other, yeah, what can you do as an organization, or maybe what you already do as an organization, in order to combine the things? Because what you mentioned, that there is different let's say way of adopting technologies. There is different attitude towards traditional values. So how can you make sure that actually the team is working as a one organism and delivering those goals that they ask to deliver?
I think about that a little bit, and first thing I think the values are universal, and I don't believe that values change through the time. Real values. We don't speak that about let's say trends and fashion. We are speaking about values, and when you in a company which is in some kind, it's controlled environment, is everything, let's say, easier than in normal life. Let's say it easier. It's not easy because the firms are different, and ways of working are different, and culture of firms are different. But in our firm, we are sticking to our philosophy from Neurot, very hard on that, and through that you have, let's say, pointers which are you pointing you in direction of values. And when you have these values, then you are maybe a little bit easier to communicate through the generations, because everybody understands respect, everybody understands let's say to be open with your mind. There are different styles, and we are speaking about differentiation between generations. We are speaking, I think, about style, how to manage your environment, how to manage your exposure to the other people, to the environment and everything. And this perspective is in one controlled environment easier to achieve. When you are firm, people feel safe, environment should be predictable, should be safe, and there must be respect to the people between them. And through that we are working with hearing aids, our industry, we must work. We have our target group is baby boomers, actually, and we are waiting now of generation X. And through our focus, business to customer, we are speaking about this point of our firm in Slovenia. People, we are not a lot of dysfunctions from main firm. We are speaking about this function. They are focusing on the customers, and they are each generation which is with us must focus on one thing, and that must have respect to the people to which are coming in their offices to buy hearing aids, and through that is a little bit easier. And with also this situation which we have in Slovenia, it's other different situation when you're speaking about Neurot AG, Neurot firm, where are 1,300 people. We have a lot of people in Graz, in Lebring, which are then this, let's say, the situation, a lot of difficulty to say, because it's not the same still. But on the Slovenian part, I can say through our style of work and our approaching to our customers, we are learning ourselves to understand different generations.
Mm-hmm. And so what I'm picking from what you have just said, that psychological safety is probably the #1 thing for everyone to feel comfortable and
they
to
must
be
know
able to
what they
communicate.
can expect from me, like their leader, direct leader, from the leaders which are in small teams which are in Slovenia, and they must also know what is to expect from mother firm, which we are trying really a lot of communication. We have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of plans, like all the concern, with 1,300 people, and everything should be transparent. With that, with transparency and with a lot of information, I think, and sticking to the values and living by them, can you a little bit easier this gap differentiation between generations.
Thank you, Robert. The next question is, when we look at any event or anything, let's say, we will know that there are always two sides, yeah, the dark one and the brighter one. So we are talking today quite a lot about the darker side, but let's focus on the lighter one as well. So there must be some advantages in having mix of generations at the workplace. So based on your experience, what advantages of generation mix can you see, and how do you use them?
Advantages are, these overviews are mentoring and transfer of knowledge. That's very on the first ball, let's say it. Né? But you have also with that you're mixing people with different life experience, you can initiate, let's say it, a little bit more creative thinking. Approach is a little bit different from the person to the, let's say, to some problems or some things. Different between people in their 40s, 50s, or people in their 20s, 30s. And you can combine that in, let's say, one point of sale in Slovenia. And you can combine it also not only generation, also with colleagues which are, let's say, the gender different. Né? And you can help each other and solve problems which are not solvable for somebody. And through that collaboration, is problem solved then together through team work and everything. Né? And you can also, through the experience from elders, change perspective to our customers, because they said, you must understand what is they experience in this moment. I can relate to that and can from himself relate to them how exposed is, because that's technology. We are like firm in high-end technology products. He gets at high-end production, and everybody, also our salespersons, are exposed to these new technologies, and they must learn, and they know how heavy is that to learn, and then understand how much is there, let's say, frightening from our customer to do that. Né? And I think this perspective can change through the generations co-working.
Thank you very much. And the last but not the least question. So again, based on your own experience, what would be your one best advice that you can give to all the listeners that are here today, listening to you?
Maybe not to focus on generation gap, but don't forget on them, because they are there. And generation gap is little bit, by my opinion, little bit more in your all-day life. Through the firm, through the direction, which can be that little bit blank, like how is that said? It's not so up. But when you are understanding that not everybody have the same approach to that, but they have the same values, can you maybe find then the reason on his actions, let's say.
Thank you very much, Robert, for your sharing experience. For me personally, I take out of this two main things. So it seems that psychological safety and diversity and inclusion are the two key things that actually will help managing this generational mix. Thank you very much. And let us now come to the conclusions of our webinar. So, ladies and gentlemen, based on what we have heard, first of all, I would like to say that, of course, this is a huge topic. We have to be aware that, yeah, Gen Z is there. They are coming in the US. You saw they are already bigger than baby boomers. We have to be ready for that. And as Robert just said, it's not like thinking about the gap as such, but just don't forget about them. You have to do something about that. And in terms to do something, what we can suggest, there are three key strategies that will help you integrating different generations. First of all, you really have to think about creating an environment that will be so called collaborative and allow everyone to work equally. So here we are talking about the psychological safety that Robert has mentioned, first of all. The second strategy would be training and development. Really, you have to make people aware of differences. You have to adopt your education that you provide to your employees, so different learning styles and things like that. So blended approach should be applied here because it gives you the best results. And also you have to think that your leaders, a lot of things depend on your leaders. So you have to educate your leaders on generations differences, on diversity and inclusion, on psychological safety, first of all, because they will be creating this collaborative environment for you. And the third strategy also linked to what Robert mentioned, we can utilize presence of different generations because people can share experience. If you create some mentorship programs that will work in such a way that all the generations will be passing their knowledge and experience to the younger generations, your organizations can benefit from it hugely. And a few words to Tadej.
Thank you, Andre. I'm really happy that Robert already said and mentioned that each of us need to have respect to customer. And this is very similar also to co-workers. Basically, if we want to create a cross-generation work culture that works completely fine in our companies and in our organizations, then respect really comes as a really high stake. As a leaders, we want to create workplace as a place for wisdom, experience, as well as fresh mind and tech knowledge and experiment. So, also, as Andre mentioned, if we do that, then we can foster a collaborative environment in our company, and this cross-cultural, cross-generation culture is easily achieved. The second thing, next to respect, is tailoring communication style. It's very easy to fall in a trap to believing that my preferred style fits all. But as we said, as we looked even in our previous discussion with in Mentimeter, also with questions, we could see that some generations don't like it as the only style, like one-to-one personal meeting. I'm not saying that they will not ever use it. They can do it, but they would also expect, let's say, older generation to also adapt the communication style to them. And as we see on this photo, we have also face-to-face communication, as well as a guy and a girl in front, also with phone in hand. So basically combining this communication style. When we do this, I go back to Andre's conclusion, is basically training and development also a part of this, how we actually tailor the passing over the knowledge, passing over the experience that we have in a company. And the third is basically relationship building, which I go also back to Robert's point. It doesn't really matter to what generation we are part of. Relationship is always very important if we want to coexist in a companies on the long run. And since most of our companies are there for to exist on a longer run, this is really important stuff, and makes it also already mentioned by Robert and also later by Andre. Mentoring, like very popular now, is reverse mentoring, where younger generation teach and mentor older ones how to use technology. With that in mind, we must not forget that basically older generation have fear. What if I break the computer down if I press this button? I am a little exaggerating, but there is like a consideration to not to forget. So basically relationship building, cross generations, it's very, very much important. So the last hint from me is basically start with something in common. And Mitch Lomazo said that we all have something in common, all generations. We all believe that our way is the best way. So that's what we have in common. But of course, that is not the only thing that will make us go too long way. So let's not forget what we have in common. And Robert mentioned when he was explaining his case. All of the generations, we all are made of warm, wonderful people who want to be happy and create world and lives that is good for everyone. This is definitely something we can start in common, from where we can start to be in common to actually do the culture of cross generation coexistent, really viable and successful.
Thank you very much, Tadej.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and a few more words from myself. So please be aware that recording of this webinar will be available, but not immediately. It will be available in a 2-3 weeks time. You will get notified if you through your registration for this event. Also, I would like to remind you that we as DEVELOR, we can help you with quite a lot of things. And this generation topic can be part of many different programs. It can be part of your leadership development programs, of growth mindset, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it can be part of your talent management programs and employer branding programs and many other topics. So please, if you have questions, if you have any requests, please do not hesitate contacting us, and we can help you using all of our international experience and expertise. Also, don't forget, if you are not subscribed to one or several of our social medias, please do it now. Here you can scan those QR codes and join us there in the LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. And the last but not the least as well, there will be more webinars like this happening locally in different markets. So here you can see the information about the nearest events, which are happening end of September and in October in several countries, in Czechia and Slovakia, in Hungary, in Poland, in Slovenia. Also, if you are interested in those topics, which you see now on the screen, and if you have not registered yet, then please scan the corresponding QR code and you can register for the event easily. I will wait another 30 seconds for you to do so. So please scan those QR codes and get registered. And meanwhile, if you have any questions left, please use chat and we can answer those questions. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you all again. Please